Welcome to another episode of Mexican in the Kitchen. Here in the blender I have 4 Saladette or Roma tomatoes. You can use any kind of tomato you like, but I think these ones are the ones that have the most flavor. Depending on how powerful your blender is, you might need to chop it into smaller pieces, or you could maybe even throw the whole tomatoes in some. To this mix I also added 1/4 of a medium-sized onion. This is the traditional way, but if you don't have a blender or you don't want to do the whole process, you can always buy some tomato puree. Keep the blender going until you have a smooth mix, and we'll set this aside for later. Next thing we have to do is prepare our rice. I usually rinse my rice to remove some of the starch, and a lot of people do it in a pot. They leave it there with some water. I like to use a strainer because I can put my rice in there, keep it under the water, and just move it around until the water comes clean. For this recipe I'm using 2 cups of rice. You don't have to be too precise. This is not a measuring cup, but just keep that container around because we want to use the exact same container to measure the water later. Here you can see that the water is not coming quite clean. Just keep moving the rice around, move it a bit with your hand, and keep doing this for a couple minutes. It will come clean and then we can use our rice. I have a pan here with canola oil. It's preheated. It's on a 4 out of 6, so medium-high fire. For this recipe you can use any kind of rice you want. I usually use basmati or longhorn. We already removed some starch from our rice when we rinsed it, and what we're doing now is to shock the rice. That's why it's important that our oil is hot when we throw it in. This will encapsulate the remaining starch into the rice, so it will avoid our rice to become too sticky. We want to keep moving our rice, make sure it's not sticking to the bottom, and making sure it doesn't get burned. We will notice how it slightly changes color into a light brown toasted color. We don't want to burn it, so as soon as we have a uniform light brown color, we can stop this. Once the rice is slightly toasted, I'm going to add the tomato and onion mix. The pan is quite hot and liquid might start jumping all over, so you have to be quite quick. Put the liquid in and start mixing. What we want to do is to get a rice and tomato paste. You will notice the liquid starts evaporating quite quick. It doesn't matter, we want to reduce this, and you will notice how it starts to thicken. This process will take maybe 2 or 3 minutes. It's quite quick. At this point we have to add the liquid, and I'm going to add the same amount of liquid as I added of rice. In this case I'm using this cup and adding it 2 times. Here of course you can add water, but we want to add a lot of flavor, so what I am adding is chicken broth. You can make your own chicken broth, or you can dissolve some cube or powdered chicken stock into water, add some salt and use that. I am also adding half a cup of diced carrots, 1 garlic clove and 1 jalapeno pepper. Adding some peas is also quite normal. I've seen people add maybe some potato, some corn, but that is up to you. At this point I'm going to mix everything once. And now I'm going to move it to low fire, which in my stove would be a 1 or 2 out of 6. If you have the kind of stove that doesn't cool down too quick, I would recommend moving it to a second burner. All we have to do now is cover our pot and wait for about 15 minutes. Of course it's way better if you have a see-through lid. This also depends on your stove, but about 15 minutes is the norm. If you want to check on your rice, try not to remove the lid too often. We just want to keep it on the fire until all the water has evaporated. First times it might be tricky, but you will get the hang of it. If you are unsure, you can quickly check if there's still water at the bottom. Once the water has consumed, I recommend moving your rice out of the fire and waiting for about 5-10 minutes. After the rice has rested for about 5-10 minutes, we can now try it. Red rice is a typical side dish for many Mexican dishes. You will find it at a lot of gatherings, a lot of parties. People do it very often. It's something that you have on a daily basis probably. I hope you liked the video. Press like, subscribe, activate the bell, share it with your friends, write any comments or questions below, and see you in the next one.